Well, it's good to be back here with you this week. As I was preparing for this sermon, I was struggling with how to begin it, and I thought maybe I should start with where we left off last week, which was with a challenge to all of you to go home and to take 1 hour out of your week to sit in silence. I thought maybe we'd start with that, and then that would grow into the sermon, except there was a bit of a problem when I came to write the sermon and realized that I had not practiced what I had preached. And so I called myself out on that, because for me, what I preach is what I live. And so to not live from that place, to not practice from that place, just felt wrong. And so I shut the computer down. I lit the candle. I turned off the air conditioner and the fan. I know, right? I know, this was serious business. And there I sat in silence, waiting, because I really wondered what the heck it was I was going to say tonight. And in my mind, I kept hearing this word, this phrase, come to me, come to me, come to me. Andrew, come to me. And I wondered, what the heck does that mean? And so I reflected on that. And you know, I have a niece who has a 3-year-old son named Jack. And Jack is, well, he's pretty strong-willed. And you know, it dawned on me that Jack hears that phrase a lot in his life, come to me, in various forms, like come here, right? And it's used in different tones. So when my niece says, Jack, come here, I know that Jack isn't listening. And I know that probably Jack is in trouble, and probably Jack is running away, ignoring his mom. But I also know that when Sarah says, Jack, come here, it's an invitation, that she's inviting him to come and to have a snuggle, and he'll come and he'll sit on her lap for 5 seconds and then off it goes. Or when Jack hurts himself, right? And Sarah, and he's crying, and Sarah goes, oh, Jack, come here, come here, right? Calling him to come and sit with her while she comforts him. Come here. 3 simple words, and depending on how it gets used, it can be experienced as a command, or an invitation, or words of comfort. You know, when you're tired from the simple everydayness of life, hearing words of comfort can be soothing to our ears. Or when we are carrying heavy burdens around that seem impossible to let go or put down for a moment, hearing words of comfort can tell us that we are not alone. Words of comfort from a friend, a neighbor, a family member, a partner, a pastor, has the power to take us from hard places to new places and unexpected places. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are less tired or that our burdens have somehow diminished. It does mean that we are seen, that someone has recognized where we are in our lives, and in that moment of comfort, we are no longer alone. And for that moment, we can experience both comfort and relief. Come to me. Jesus speaks these 3 simple words. Is it a command? Is it an invitation? Is it words of comfort? Is it all of those things? Well, tonight I think it is both an invitation and words of comfort. Put another way, perhaps Jesus is telling us something about God. Perhaps Jesus is pointing out that God is right here with us, saying to us, I am here. Talk to me. You are not alone. It is an invitation, a call from God for us to move from isolation to connection. Every week as we celebrate the sacrament of Holy Communion, there is an invitation for us to come to table. For there is a meal ready for each of us to partake in. And for a moment, we are fed. Our burdens perhaps made a little lighter, and we have a bit more energy for the week that lies ahead. Jesus also says, learn from me. I will show you a way through. I will show you how to live life. I will show you how to love. I will show you what it means to love and to be loved. I will show you through my life a way to know God, a path that is life-giving, not sucking the life out of you. A relationship that is about love, rightness, and not about laws and rules that enslave us. Learn from me how to speak truth to the injustices of the world. Learn from me. I will walk along this path with you. I will teach you, be your guide, and show you a way to know God. I will show you how to put down those burdens you carry. I will show you how you can rest in God. Learn from me. I will show you. Jesus also says, I am gentle. One of the things we can learn is how to be gentle with ourselves. Jesus is our example of how to be gentle and gives us permission to do the same for ourselves and for each other. And let's face it, that is a hard one. It is a lot easier for us to be gentle with other people than with ourselves. But when we are gentle with ourselves, we move from a place of negativity, of judgment, of self-criticism, and we move to a place of self-compassion, forgiveness, kindness, and comfort. We can be tender with ourselves in a way that allows us to hold and be attentive to what we are carrying around. Being gentle with ourselves brings us comfort. And that comfort can be a balm that soothes our souls. Jesus also says, you will find rest. For weary souls, the idea of finding rest seems impossible. Yet here Jesus is saying, you will find rest for your souls. Finding rest for one's soul is like dipping into a cool spring water. It is refreshing, rejuvenating, and relieving. When I think about finding rest in God, I imagine all that stuff that I carry around just begins to soften. My burdens somehow become lighter. For a moment, close your eyes or soften your gaze and imagine resting in God. Resting in love and light and goodness. Just breathe that in for a moment. What color is it? What do you smell? What do you see? take a moment and experience resting in God. And I gently invite you to come back into the space. Sometimes, there are no words to adequately speak about God's experience. Sometimes you just have to experience it. Jesus also says in Matthew to take my yoke. What the heck does that mean? What is a yoke? I'm a city guy. I've always been a city guy, and so I had to do some research about what yokes were. And there are various kinds of yokes. And the one yoke that I found to be particularly interesting, so there were two that I was looking at, and one was where both the animal, the ox, let's take oxes, are of the same size, and they work together in tandem as a team. And then there's another yoke, where on one side, it's much bigger. It's for a much bigger animal. And then as you move your way to the other side, it's for a much smaller animal. Isn't that interesting? So you have a larger ox, and you have the smaller ox. And the larger ox is there as the teacher, as the guide, as the mentor, showing the smaller ox the way around how to plow a field. And at first, when you look at that, you might think, well, that's really unfair because the larger ox, the poor, smaller ox, having to bear the weight that the smaller ox has to bear. But it's not true. If you look close at the yoke, you will notice that it is the larger ox that bears the burden, that bears the weight of the yoke. Isn't that interesting? I think this is very similar to Jesus. When Jesus was saying, take my yoke. I will be right beside you. I will teach you. I will guide you. I will be your mentor. And I will take on the heavy load. And when I think about how we apply this to our lives in 2018, I think about my clergy internship. I started it almost a year ago, and I was yoked with my supervisors. I was yoked with Reverend Dina Dudley in Toronto, and I was yoked with Reverend Bruce Lee here in London. And over the past year, I have been led, I have been steered, I have been guided, and I have been challenged to learn, to grow as a pastor. With Bruce, I experienced this model that we hear from Jesus of comfort. In his own way, he has been there every step of the way. He has been what we call in Toronto, Jesus-ly. He has always said to come. I am here. I am listening. And that reminds me, and he reminds me, that God is always in the midst in all of this. And these words of encouragement and challenge have been a source of comfort. And because we were yoked together, I got to learn from both of them how to be there for others, how to model being God's love, how important it is to be real, to be authentic, to speak from a place of truth, even if it is unpopular, even if your congregation isn't going to like it or like you. They both, in their own ways, were gentle as I struggled with who I was as a pastor and how I am with my colleagues, with my staff, with my congregants. And in them, I have found a place of rest. of safety, of security. And in a place where, at times, I didn't know whether I was going to make it. There were moments when I was ready to quit. There were moments that I sure did not believe I was ready to be an ordained minister, or to face the challenges that lie ahead of having to prepare for an interview. When I didn't believe, Bruce, Dina, bore that burden for me. And they believed, when I couldn't, that this would happen. They, for me, were the hands and feet of Christ. It is my hope that we can live out this model of comfort for each other, for our world. It is my hope and prayer that we can walk alongside each other and together be the hands and feet of Christ. Amen.